Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Coffee Club Podcast, episode 99.2. The boys are back together. I was trying to think before how long it's been, and I didn't quite come to an answer in my head. Do you guys know?
St.
We
Moritz.
won in St. Moritz.
Yeah.
St. Moritz. That feels like a lifetime ago.
It was a
much has
lifetime ago.
happened.
I had so many
But
dreams. I had so many dreams a lifetime ago.
oh, we were all so happy back then. Actually, that was the episode after you just did get injured, so I guess it wasn't actually a happy episode. So hopefully you're
Optimistic.
more happy now than you were back then, but I don't know. I guess that's what we'll find out today. So yeah, I think it's only right to get started with a check-in with everyone. I'm gonna be doing my bit of like kind of worlds recap, so I guess that'll kind of be like I'll have like kind of that extended check-in, and then Ollie's going to have a bunch of cool injury updates, and then George will just have George is like, I don't know, just back in Boulder, flying high, getting ready for a couple of big races. So I think his will be the most just living the good life type vibes. But Ollie, do you want to start us off with how you're going with everything down under?
Down under with the injury haul. Man, oh man. So, past few weeks been pretty good. Slowly starting to feel much more strength in my pelvis area. You'd like to know, boys? It's good.
What does that mean exactly? Can you break that down?
It means I've been doing my exercises correctly. That's what it means. Goddamn right. Yeah, I kind of called Dathan yesterday just to give an update. I've been swimming about 3 to 4 times a week, and the swimming's been great, but my shoulders are fucked. my arms are fucked. Like, I walk out of the pool and my arms are just like side to side, like walking like this, not moving, because they're just not used to actually doing anything other than moving up and down when you run. So they've been.
I thought you were going to say something else.
Oh,
sorry. You're going to say moving up and down just when sorry, move on.
Yeah, vigorously moving up and down. Well, they still do that in some form, but because there's not much to do here. There is. It's been an interesting time because my brother shot a nail gun through his hand. I don't know if any of their coffee club followers follow Uncle Crispy, but Chriso thought, well, Ollie's at home. I might shoot a nail gun through my hand so I can spend the time with Ollie while I'm on work compo and just hang out. So he shot a nail through his thumb. It was accidental. It went through the wood and through his thumb. It was excruciating. He said it was like somebody just grabbed your finger and broke it off. But he had surgery, and then he's in rehab right now. So me and Chris have been hanging out. So mostly my weeks of getting back into running have been a lot of swimming in the pool, and then Chris and I will go grab a coffee just around the area, around the Shire, talk about the problems in the world, pretty much like this show, but it's the Crispy Ollie version. And then we go down and find a little swimming hole. So we go down to the beach or some of the coastline and go and do a swim, wade in the water. Just kind of that cold, salty water from Australia is a real healing factor when it comes to overused tendons, particularly in the pelvis area. So I've been doing a lot of that, and then just doing a lot of rehab exercises. Called Dathan. Jason is jumping in to help me with some of the exercises. We're kind of progressing, which is awesome. But yeah, excuse me. I'm sick of it. I'm honestly so sick of it. I called Dathan. I was like, when can I start running again? He said, well, you're not there yet, Oliver. You can't rush these things. And I'm like, oh God, can we just, where are we at right now? And he's like, well, if you think about it, 6 weeks, you had your PRP injection, then you'll be back on the boost. You got to do the elliptical, maybe do 16 hours in elliptical a day. And I was like, okay, well, I don't want to do that. Can we start off with 20 minutes? And he's like, yeah, 20 minutes is good. Just check the area, see if it's good. And then I told him how many times I've been swimming. He's like, good God, man, don't put on too much mass. So it's the swimming. I might have to transition to cycling or elliptical, but we'll figure it out from there. And
have you ever used elliptical before?
No. Well, I have, but I've not used it properly. I've like put one foot on the elliptical, like one of the presses, and then just like move the thing really fast and go up and down like this on one side of it.
Just to make fun of the rest of us that have to use it mostly.
I used to make fun of everyone, and karma has come around and said, Olli, this is your time to redeem yourself. So I got to use the elliptical today. But I'll still swim because I'm enjoying my swimming. I'm swimming with my mum and the squad at Carrying Bar Pool, which has been unreal, except I look like an absolute knob because the only swim trunks I have are the Olympic ones. So all these young kids turn up for squad and see this skinny guy that obviously isn't an Olympic swimmer wearing Olympic togs, just thinking, who the bloody hell is this guy? But yeah, the progression's been surprisingly good. My exercises have been a lot better. It's just, I think the mental part of it's been tough because I'm not saying that I've winged it up to this point, gentlemen, but most of my running and stuff, I just go out there and run and I don't think. I mean, you guys know I got a big brain. I use it a lot, but I don't think. And with these exercises, I'm thinking a lot more. And it's definitely changed my perspective on just making sure that you can stay consistent mentally as well as physically. And that's a good journey that I'm having at the moment. Because it's been hard. It actually has been hard. And like obviously it's not a great timing, but I think my abductors have felt a lot stronger and the exercises have been going well. So it's nice to see some progress because like I think last week it was kind of seemed like it wasn't changing much, but this week I felt like a good progression. And Glenn, the physio in the area, has been great. I've been seeing him 3 times a week, getting dry needling and soft tissue work, so which has been great. So he also said my hamstrings are tight as fuck, which is good to know.
I think it's good to see someone else get the old post broken pelvis needles in the high abductor. It's a very uncomfortable feeling, but honestly, it makes like the biggest difference. So it sounds like you're doing all the right things, and I'm happy to see that you are having some progress this week because yeah, that's probably like the hardest thing is it does just suck. Like when you say that, it is true because you want to be out running, and when you run, you feel good, and you can crush workouts, and you can see some form of progression. When you're coming back from injury and you're not even able to run, and all you can do is just like basic fitness cross training, it is very hard to see much like progression or that forwards movement that you want. So it's good that you're getting that in the exercises because that's probably the most important place to get it. So it's good to hear that that you're having that. Unfortunate that Crispy is out there with you for his injury as well, but it's good to see that you guys can go through it together. I think I'm sure that helps raise your spirits a lot.
He's been doing rehab as well, but he says rehab is quote unquote fucking useless. He said the best thing I can do with my rehab is play video games and drink beer. So his rehab is looking a little different.
Probably good for thumb dexterity.
Yeah. But it's his left hand too, gentlemen. It's his left hand. So man, oh man, he's left-handed.
Is he left-handed? Is he?
Yeah, like me.
That's bad.
Him and I are left-handed. So not great for him, but he's been able to swim and he's really enjoying that. And yeah, it's been nice. It's like that's the thing. If he did this injury and I wasn't here, he'd be bored shitless. And I'm here, so we can actually spend one-on-one time together because he'd be at work and I'd be doing rehab and stuff. So it's been really nice catching up with him. So that's been a good positive from it. And we're both injured. We're injured horse. So injured horse.
I love to hear that.
Both in the workforce, actually. We both got injured in the workforce. Injured horse from the workforce. It's a tough business out there. We're looking for a PR group here to talk to. Can't find one.
I'm sure your mum is just loving having you guys walking around the house saying that.
Yeah, injured horse. Oh yeah, she loves it.
Yeah.
But that's my end.
That's how it goes. George, what about you?
That was lovely, Ollie. Yeah, in Boulder, just feels like back into the old swing of things, which I don't know if I love that when there's only 2 weeks left in the season, and it sometimes feels like a bit of a battle to get to September. Been a little bit lonely because I'm the only male gentleman on the OC in town at the moment. I believe Jared will be the next one to return post Zurich W he just took moments ago. And so a couple workouts this week on my own, had a fartlek a few days after getting back and felt pretty rubbish, not going to lie. Just big travel, couple of big races in Europe, and then coming back, and I've just been pretty tired. Just running was tough for the first few days, and I was probably at sea level for like 10 days. I don't know if that means anything, but I feel like I was breathing heavier than normal like the first 2 or 3 days up here. So I did a fartlek out on the dirt roads. Just I think Ritz wanted the first one to be off the track to get back into it, and didn't feel super good. And then had a couple easy days, and then got back on the track for the first time yesterday, and again didn't feel. Still, I feel like got a little way to go to being back and fully recovered and feeling good, but ran a 158 800 in there, and then did some hills. So things were feeling better towards the end, and nice to be back at Niwot and just back in the old haunts. Really, not much else to report. Maybe you got a little race update, but I might wait till next week to give that because it's not this week. Keep that quiet for now. But a couple more,
keep people on their toes.
More races. 2 more races is the general plan before calling it quits for the year. But body's healthy, feeling good coming off the race. I actually felt better after the final than the first round. Like the next day, I was seeing Jason and he had like nothing to do. It was I don't know why. I was like, it almost come off it. Like I was tired, obviously, but just like movement wise and ankles and hips and everything, we're feeling like surprisingly very good the day after. Then I went and got on 10 hours. Yeah, maybe.
It's the best healer.
After very little sleep too. So
yeah, dude, this sport is weird like that sometimes, huh? It doesn't make sense. Like I might have had the same thought like that you had a few days ago when I got here, and it was my first time doing a workout on grass and like different surfaces, and I literally thought my Achilles were both about to snap. Like it was like the worst experience of my life. I came to realize like I was thinking I'll just run on the track for every workout for like I don't know how long now, but it's far too long. Achilles felt like terrible, they're going to snap, and then the next day my Achilles felt great. So what do I know? You can never really predict these things.
You get super used to the track, I think. Like doing that fartlek on the dirt roads for the first time in so long, I feel like you do just feel like kind of zapped for a bit.
Yeah. See, I was wondering if that's a good thing or if we should try to implement a little bit more, maybe like once every 2 weeks, or I don't even know how you would do it at this point in the year when you're racing and stuff, but I don't know. I would like to kind of keep that other stuff going a little bit. Just I think it makes my body feel overall stronger. Like track strength, you get very like unilaterally like good at just doing that, but pretty bad at everything else. So I don't know. I would like to do more of that other stuff, but yeah, I mean, I'm a little bit jealous that you're back home, just like in the like your nice routine and stuff. But it is weird that you're the only one back there right now. This season, at this point in the season with the team, it's like complete chaos. Like I don't even know. Like everyone is off doing their own journeys right now. I look on my phone, I see Josette's in China. Like what are you doing there? Like you just never know what's going to happen. But
I would say
I think it's a nice thing.
I would have loved for there to be a steeple in Zurich. Not gonna lie, haven't yet had the chance to run in Zurich, and it just looks so epic. And there was a women's steeple today, and it just would have been. I'd love to get in there at some point. Maybe next year. Maybe there'll be a steeple there. But yeah, everyone's.
I'm sure it'll happen eventually. Or whenever it's the Diamond League final again, you'll be back for that, I'm sure. So it'll come. But I might, maybe we'll do the Morgan update, but I'll do an extended one where I'll do an update going back a week or so. I don't even know when I raced. I guess it was a week ago. And I mean, I don't know. I guess I'd already raced by the time you guys filmed last week, but you guys probably didn't talk about it too much, I imagine. Just probably mentioned it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we just said that you'd go over it.
Yeah. So George and I were in the same hotel at Budapest, which honestly was the best hotel I've ever stayed in for a race. Like it was so nice. We were on this little island where the running was great, the food was great. And I was in Budapest for quite a long time leading into the race, which I thought actually worked out really well in terms of getting used to the conditions and stuff, because it was pretty hot there in the end for all the races. Like when I raced, it wasn't hot, but it was still warm. But honestly, by the time I got to the start line, like the prep, like the last week or so prep it was perfect because I felt so good. And I said this in a couple of interviews after the race, so some people may have seen this already. But once I arrived in Budapest, I got pretty like in the zone type thing, which I mean, you got to do. Like everyone's going to do it. And what I mean by that is before that, I would say I was still in a headspace, which was more kind of that, like, zoomed out, like I'm just in a growth phase coming back from injury type headspace. And so I was just like more casual with everything. But then when I got to that starting line, I was really like, all right, top 8. Like I need to come top 8 to make the finals. Like that's my goal. And I really think I could do it. Like I 100% thought I could do it as I started that race and as I was racing it. And I continued to think that until probably about, was it 4 laps to go or 3 laps to go, when everyone else started speeding up. And I was like, yeah, all right. It's been fun, but these guys are really fucking good at running, and I'm just not quite there right now. And so, and that's kind of if you watched it, I think you could see, like, I tried my best. And so I was happy with that, but I really got my butt kicked in the end. I think I came like 16th in my heat, and it just is what it is. I mean, I was a bit disappointed that I like got beaten by that much so easily for those guys. But looking back on it, my take is kind of just, I don't know. I feel like I'm trying to think about it as simple as possible with the 5K, where it's just these guys are 1250 guys or in that type of shape. And I was maybe in 13, 15 shape, like at best probably. So it's not a surprise that they're going to be able to really beat you pretty bad like they did. And even watching the final, that's what really was reinforced to me about the 5K. And ultimately, I think this is true of every event. But in the 5K, you just got to be so good at running. Like, there's nothing else you can really do about it. I mean, there are a lot of tactics and stuff, but at the end of the day, like, those guys are just on such a high level, and it's going to be so hard to compete with them if you're not, similarly, like in a similar shape. When you got Jakob and Mokatir, who are probably both sub 1250 guys, and then I believe it was Jacob Krop third, Louis fourth, and Ethiopians coming in. Like, they're just all so good. And so if you want to be competitive with them, you just got to be in that level and on that level. And yeah, I guess the 5K happened after last week's app came out, so it hasn't been talked about, but got to give a shout out to Jakob for coming back and getting it done. It was very impressive the way he raced it. He still seemed pretty casual about it and just was able to get Mokatir in the last 50 meters, which is just crazy. Big race for Louis, I thought on the last lap that everyone was they came around him. He got kind of swamped by a lot of people, but he rallied hard and got fourth. And he looked amazing in the heats and the final. So I guess I'm not surprised he did so well, but he really looks like he could medal. I think we all kind of thought that he had a medal shot going into it, but he was right there. So I think he'll still be he said he was disappointed in his Instagram post, I think, which makes sense, but still a great performance. But we were just talking about before we started recording is how the hell the Ethiopians don't get on that medal podium in the 5K when they're just so good at running the 5K. And then because today at Zurich, Yomif ran another 12:40 high type race where he just decided to start running 60s and just destroyed everyone. And I'm not going to say it was easy, but it doesn't look that hard.
So, doesn't look that hard.
I don't know why they don't try to do that at Worlds.
I got a couple thoughts on the 5K. My takeaways from the 5K. I think you're right in terms of, I think the other events are also very hard, but I think there's a big part of the 1500 where, you have to be in probably 329 shape to middle, but positioning, I think, is a way bigger deal in 1500, even just feeling fresh. Like you can be way more recovered and kind of get through one round at least. And I think that's just not possible in the 5K. Like you can't just like get away with 12 and a half laps by having good positioning. That's not going to do anything. Like it's the event where you will be exposed the most if you're not as fit as the guys at the front. Like there's just no hiding out there. And I think you can kind of hide in a 1500 pack because a lot of people can run 3 laps at that. And then maybe, you know, they'll be out the back at the end, but in the 5K that happens early. And then it is hard for a mile or more as opposed to hard for like a lap or 300 meters. Like it is hard for a long time. And those guys, I think I was looking at some splits after. I think to make the final in your race, I think they closed in 3:58 for 1600. Like is just absolutely no joke. And yeah, both the guys that came 9th were 12:50 guys, and they were both like sub 13 guys, and they both missed out. And you know, it's just, I think it's the most cutthroat to make the final, I would say, of any event, honestly. That's my opinion. And then yeah, once you get to the final, and they are just again absolutely ripping by the end. And I actually would give credit to Mokatir in the last 100 for holding his line. He could easily have raced that like Sifan Hassan tried to do in the 10K, or just cause, or like what's her name? Good if wait, no, who won the 10K last year? Did De Helen in the last 100 meters,
wasn't it?
Good day.
Yeah, good day. Or I'm gonna throw some shade just here, like Paul Chalimo, and
that's not shade. That's warranted.
And he could have run Jakob into lane 3 or 4, but he didn't. He tried to get it done just by holding him off with just running, and I feel like you got to respect that. Obviously, he didn't hold him off.
Yeah,
credit to Jingy for getting it done, but
no,
that's
I
my
agree with
thoughts
that.
on
And I think
100.
I think Mo was. You could tell when Mokatir finished, even though he got second, he was really happy because I think he knows that he did like his best race. Like I think he knows that he did it all right, and he went for it, and just got dipped by Jakob. And Jakob is a very good runner, and so it's like it makes sense.
It's amazing what Jakob can do when he's behind someone, isn't it? It's amazing. He can win it.
Yeah.
Food for thought.
Yeah. Speaking of Jakob, I think we have to address. I don't know.
Jingy update.
This isn't. We got a Jingy update. We just need It's not like a. This isn't an apology from the episode. It's just a slight It's a mention that he did. We had a lot of people comment about this, so a lot of people did comment after last week's ep. They weren't that happy about some Jingy bashing or comments made. So he did say to the Norwegian press that he was beaten by the better man on the day. So he did say that, and I guess you got to give him credit for that. But I don't know, the whole. Have you guys seen how now all the media is jumping on it? Like Citrus Mag, everyone is like they're blowing up this rivalry between Jakob and Jingy and Josh. Wait, do we have a nickname for Josh Curry? Josh Curry?
I feel like we had a new one recently.
Rogan Josh.
Rogan Josh was one of them.
I feel like we got a new one recently. I can't remember what it was. That one's good though.
Yeah. So, and it's so interesting to see it because it's literally like, I think in many, like when you think about it, it seems so like good for the sport. Like it is like a real rivalry, and there's like real people on each side, really like, you know, people are like, wow, that's so disrespectful what Jakob is saying. And then on the other side, people are saying, well, yes, it's disrespectful, but like that's what makes him a champion. He really believes it is disrespectful to say, and I think common courtesy, you wouldn't necessarily say all the things, but he really just believes that if he's running his best, no one can beat him. And so when it plays out as it did at Worlds, when he gets sick and then he gets beaten, he's going to say, well, I only got beaten because I was sick. And so, I mean, I think we'll have some slightly different opinions on this. I don't think it's
whatever medication he's taken to heed that sickness for before the 5K, can you make it more available, please? Because fuck me, like I love that people still think that he wasn't 100%. I mean, it could have been 100%, not mentally. Mentally, he might not be 100%, but physically, that motherfucker was 100%. I will go to my grave with that, because if you're running in that 5K against the best, well then you're disgracing the rest of those 5K runners. Those guys are fucking good, and they got beaten by Jakob, and that race was a hard race to win, and he fucking won it. So I don't think when you say you're not 100%, it could mean so many other factors.
Last year he won the 5K a lot more easily than he won it this year.
Yeah, but again, like I still don't think being 100%, I think, could be more of a mental factor or something else that's not physical. I just don't think you can't, if he's not 100% to win a 1500 meter title the way he talks about it, then he shouldn't have won the 5K, in my opinion. Like, that's just the way I look at it, personally. I guess we don't know. Maybe he has a certificate from his doctor saying Jakob was sick today, and he handed it to the guy that shoots the gun. But I don't know. I mean, it's just to me that annoys me because like if he went to run the 5K and he medaled, then I would have more of a suspicion of like, okay, this guy's probably the best 5K runner in the world. Near it, there's a lot of other guys that are close to him, and he didn't win. Maybe he isn't 100%. Maybe there is some sickness going on. But if you're showboating in the semi-final, you're waving to the crowd, going from last to first in the last lap of a semi-final to qualify for the final. You don't win the final after you're showboating, and then you win the 5K. I'm sorry, you're probably 100% physically. Maybe not 100% mentally. Maybe something else is going on in his life that is bugging him, or there's some other factor there that's not physical. That is why he's saying he's not 100%. But I don't think physically. I think Josh Kerr beat him physically at his best, and I think same with Whiteman. He just didn't race it the way he should have.
Yeah,
that's Ollie. That's an Olli Hall rant. I get annoyed with that because I do think there could be something going on, but I don't think you can just always play, oh yeah, he was sick. I don't know. I don't believe that. I believe maybe mentally he had something going on, because I mean the amount of pressure that's on that guy, I'm sure it can get to you. Even the best have to deal with that shit, and the pressure on him was indescribable, I imagine. So
it was quite immense. I don't know. I have a few things. I think I'm maybe a little bit biased because I do like love the character of Jakob. Like, if you don't think of him as like a person, you think of him as like just the character. I just find it so funny. Like, did you see the way he started the heats of the 5K? It's just like that stuff cracks me up. So
what did he do? I didn't see it.
He
is good for the sport, man.
He just stood there for like he didn't lean down at all, and he stood there for a second after the gun, and then just started like jogging up to them. It was just so funny, and then and so he is very like brash, and he's very over the top with that stuff. But as an athlete, I enjoy watching it. Maybe I wouldn't want to be his training partner and his competitor. That would definitely annoy me. That definitely would annoy me a lot if someone was being disrespectful like that. So 100% I get that. The other thing that I think is, you guys might have mentioned this last week, I'm not sure. I think if you look at his running style, he's just like talking about championship racing. He's just built to win a championship 5K almost more than he is to win a championship 1500. And that's very easy to say because he did just win the last two.
He mentioned that.
And his tools in the 5K make him almost impossible to beat. Whereas the 1500, I think there's always going to be more chance. But I think the 1500 is just so hard.
Yeah, it's more of a dice roll. I mean, like, if you look back at consistency in 5K, 10K, like Cheptegei won the 10K, right? 3-time 10K champ. Jakob's 2-time 55K champ. 1500, been a different winner the past few years. Different winner. I think it's more of a roll of the dice. And Jakob does, to his credit. Like, I love Jakob too. I don't want to sound like I've lost my love for Jingy. I do love him. But I think it's important to call it out how I feel it, when I see that sort of stuff. But when he did his interview about afterwards with the 5K, I thought it was really kind of cemented in to us about what event he loves more, because he talked about how he is a 5K runner, pretty much. Like, he's built to win championship 5Ks. He knows that his training is I think he said it's like a side effect. I think that's the English he used. A side effect is that he's really good at the 5K. But he's 1500, that's his love, that's his passion, that's his muse, Um, and he really wants to be more competitive. Well, he's not more competitive. He is the best in the 1500. He's just not a world champion at the moment, and I think he's going to be chasing that. And obviously, with Paris coming up, he wants to defend his Olympic gold. So the 1500 is his love, but the training and the type of athlete I think he is, the 5K is like his best event. So, yeah. So maybe now I'm thinking about what I just said about him being sick and winning the 5K, because maybe he's the best 5K in the world.
What I'd say, between our 99 episodes, I feel like I don't know how many have mentioned Jingy, but it's probably more than the number of mentions of Mike Smith. And I think we give him like a huge amount of respect, and we all obviously agree that he's good for the sport, and that's always our opinion. And I think, we have a huge amount of respect for him in that way. But also, I've freaking loved seeing him lose that race. I love seeing the underdog win, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think a lot of people would be rooting for someone to take down the favorite. I feel like if I'm watching like most sports, and unless it's like my own team or like someone I have like I'm very connected to, like I want to see the favorite lose. And obviously I want to see Jakob lose 1500 because Yared and Mario are in it. So why would I want Jakob to win this race? That makes no sense at all. But that doesn't mean I don't think he's good for the sport or that we don't have a lot of respect for him. I think those are just two different things.
So very fair. That's a very fair point to make.
That's a great point. I mean, and also, if you think about it, guys, who out of anybody in that field, who do you think would be the most annoying person to beat Jakob in that race? It was Josh Kerr. It was Josh Kerr, bro. The most annoying person for him. If he could line up a list of those people and he's like, you're not going to win this race. One of these guys are going to win this race and you're going to get second. The guy who'd pick the least is Josh Kerr, bro. I'm telling you that right now. And that's the best bit about it. That Kerr got him.
Yeah, dude. I mean, it's good.
It's good for the sport, man. It's so
I
good
think
for
it
15.
is. I think it is.
The Netflix documentary is going to be on Noah Lyles, and that's probably going to be exciting. But mate, they missed a great year of middle distance running. They missed a classic year of middle distance running, which is the shitty thing. If you think about it, is that's going to be in the background. Like, there's no coverage of that, and like Josh Kerr's journey of like just winning that race, and then I mean Jakob's journey of just dominating. Like, that shit's such good TV, particularly with the interviews and shit. Fuck, it's been unreal, man. Oh man. Anyway.
I will say, I'm not going to go into any of whether he was sick or whatever, but I just don't think Jakob will go down.
What's your opinion?
I don't think
What's your opinion,
he will
George?
not go down as someone.
Just tell us if he was sick or not, George.
Yeah, I actually know like the inside scoop, but I'm not going to say it. He won't go down as someone who was gracious in defeat. Like, that's not how he's going to be described. I also don't think he's very gracious in victory either, if you watch his fight in defeat. Those just aren't the things he's going to be described as. But
those he's going to be described as the best.
Yeah, exactly.
He's going to be described as the tattooed man that was the best.
Mike Tyson.
And that's what he cares about.
He's the Michael Smith of running. He's the Michael Smith of running. Like, not coaching, running. He's the Michael Smith of running. He's that good.
Okay, speaking of Mike Smith, what I want to know... All right, between Louis G, coming fourth 2 years in a row, Abdi Hamid, who I'm sure he's actually disappointed in his 5K performance, looked great in the heats, and I think finished 12th in the 5K final. And the Psycho Strava aerobic beast, Drew Bosley, and myself. How the hell did the four of us lose NCAAs to BYU? Come on.
Oh, yeah, true. I thought you won an NCAA title.
No, as a team.
Yeah, I know. Well, I think Michael I think he needed to there's lessons when you become a coach, and the biggest lesson is to show failure. You can't have winners without failures, George. And I think Michael was like, this is the year they need to lose. I'm sorry, I'm sabotaging their training. They can't win. And that's what makes him such an amazing coach. He's one of the best coaches because he sabotages your training, so you learn that lesson, and then you come out and get 5th at Worlds in the steeplechase. Like Mike Smith, he can hang that up on his wall. It's beautiful.
The only year we lost has the best performers on the track at Worlds.
Yeah, well, it was cross country.
Tells you something right there.
I know.
Yeah.
Maybe
it was cross country, bro.
That's the answer right there. That's the answer.
That's the answer. Yeah, I mean, me and Morgan, we never got that dub. We tried so hard, and then we fell apart, and then Morgan ran away and won the title.
Well, that's why we kept losing, because we had important lessons to learn still.
Exactly. We still lost.
We weren't ready to win those titles yet, and I'm sure eventually it'll pay off in a big way. Mick had that all planned out as well.
Mick had it all planned out. He's like, mate, you're going to have a semi-successful podcast out of this. Just trust me. Just follow the journey. Just keep following the journey.
and it'll all be worth it.
And it'll all be worth it.
Thank you, George, for bringing up Mike Smith. I don't think he's been getting enough podcast airtime recently.
I've been dreaming about him recently, but I haven't really spoken to him in the podcast.
Sorry.
That was Kate Hall,
Hey, Kate.
Teacher at Danebank. Shout out. She just walked into my room.
Mother of 2 whores.
Yeah, I told her yesterday I was doing a podcast and I couldn't be disturbed, and here we are. I dreamed about Mike Smith the other day. Actually, you know what? Do you want to hear my dream, George? I know you want to hear it.
Yeah, of course I want to hear it.
Yeah, I heard that Mike moved the team to Boulder, Colorado. I had a dream, and we had to share the track with him. And Dathan was fucking pissed. It was so good. We were all mates with everyone, high-fiving them, hugging Louise. Hey, what's up, guys? And then Dathan's just in his Normatec chair, and his wrist was broken again. He just goes, I don't like it. He's like, you gotta donate to the school. Like that's what he kept saying. And then we were just like, can we start the workout? And then he wouldn't tell us the workout. He kept saying, he's gotta donate. He can't use the track. He's gotta donate to the school. And we're like, and then Joe's like, are we gonna work out or not? And that was a dream. So it was pretty good.
That's an amazing dream. My favorite thing about that is how vividly I can picture Dathan sitting in the normal chair with a broken wrist.
With a broken wrist. It was so weird that it was
I don't even think I was on the team at that point, and I can still just imagine it. I can just see it so well. Yeah. No, there's a good picture of him during that time.
Yeah.
How did he break his wrist, though?
I can't remember.
It was a stress fracture?
I think he did it. Didn't he do it around the house? He was like renovating his house or something, and he fucking fractured his wrist. He did a Chris Hoare. It was a work comp injury. The work comp injury.
Fair enough. Well, moving on from all that beautiful Jingy talk.
Jingy Mike Smith talk.
I want to close out my World's experience talk by saying that it was amazing for me to reconnect with my roots there. For those who don't know, my grandfather was born in Budapest, or as I should call it, Budapest.
Morning, boys.
Hey, Kate. And I got to go to the thermal baths before I left, which was the one thing that I really wanted to do, because anyone who knows me knows that I'm very attracted to hot, warm bodies of water, and definitely lived up to the hype. I think it's one of those things that you either love it or you don't, because there's definitely a lot of turn-offs with it. Like, it smells pretty bad. There's a lot of people there and all that. But I was in heaven. So I just wanted to put that out to the world and say thank you, Budapest, for being such a lovely city. I really felt at home there. And that was my Worlds experience. That's about it.
I have a
right
quick
there,
question, because I wasn't there. Just to summarize Worlds from my perspective, George, Morgan, did you guys see a lot of people walking around that looked like Morgan? Did you see anybody that looked like Morgan in Hungary?
No, I saw it.
I was always hoping if I got there, I was always hoping if I got there, I could see different versions of Morgan. Like, there's different people. Like, a Morgan with red hair, a Morgan that was really short, or a Morgan that was really tall. But they all looked like Morgan, you know? That's what I thought Hungary was like.
No, that's kind of what I expected as well, to be honest. And I was very disappointed when that wasn't the case. I would say my mom, there's a lot of people that kind of looked a bit like my mom, And then there
Okay.
were a lot of people that looked like my grandfather. So
Okay.
I guess that's how it works when you mix between ethnicities and you procreate. I suppose
Perfect.
that's how it goes. So yeah, that answers that question. Anything else from Worlds? I guess we should just say, oh yeah, the women's 800 was pretty crazy. Shout out to Efemo for putting it all on the line and going for it. Made a very sick race. I think Mary Moore is just too damn good. I don't know how she was going to lose that race. Like just watching how it played out, I think Keely had a pretty good shot as well. But man, they went out so quick, and then Mary just had the strength at the end. So I think we'll be pretty disappointed, but I think she did pretty great. I don't know.
I
What do
mean,
you guys think about
having
it?
her compete and race is good for the sport. Like her being absent from all those races and then seeing her compete and run for a world championship and then not get it. It's still amazing for the sport because her interviews afterwards were great. She interviews really well. I'm just a bit selfish. I just want to see her race more. I'd love to see her hit her. I don't think she's anywhere near her potential. I think competitive wise, she could be a Jakob. She could go out and win a lot of the 800s on the Diamond League circuit if she wanted to, but maybe that's just not the type of athlete she is. But yeah, I thought that was one of my favorite races to watch because I didn't watch a lot of world champs. I only watched you guys race, and that's pretty much it. And the 1500 was hard to watch, but the 800 was one of my favorite races to watch because it's just like Keely is a killer, like really competitive. And Moira was Commonwealth Games champ. She won that Commonwealth Games title like crazy split because I think they went out like, I can't remember, but George and I watched it. It was crazy race, but there's a lot of big figureheads in the women's 800, and I think it's one of those events right now that's like a blue ribbon event, just really good to watch, high talent. And if Athene can compete more, if she wants to, that'd be sick to watch. And even if she wins or loses, I think she's a great ambassador for the US and for the sport. So it's cool to watch.
Do we think Freda's coming back next year to take the crown from Noah?
Okay, should we talk about the Noah NBA comments? Because that's been all over my social media. Because
that's a good one.
I have a few
that so
things to say
funny.
about it. I would love, because I'm sure people agree and disagree with the whole thing, but I think they're missing the point, right? Like, if you think about, okay, first things first, if I was Noah, I would not use the NBA. I would use the NFL. That's the first thing I would do because the NFL call themselves world champions, and most of that roster is Americans. There's very rarely an international in those rosters. So I would use that. NBA, I can see them getting their panties in a twist about it. But personally, I think he's trying to say the NBA is a national basketball association. They have international players, but they're a national basketball association. They don't compete for a world title. They compete for an NBA championship. So I think that's what he's trying to describe is that they're not competing against other countries, like the World Cup that's going on right now for basketball. But I think the way his message went out, they just didn't. It just didn't go out as well as because you got the MVP who's Jokic, who's Serbian. You have a lot of international players, a lot of Australian players in the NBA. Like, he didn't land his footing didn't land. The execution wasn't great. I don't know what you guys thought, but I just think it just didn't do well, and he's getting roasted for it.
I appreciate him standing up for track and field like that.
I do too, but I think he should have. He's getting. I mean, even Drake commented on it and gave him shit. Like, everyone's just roasting him for it. Yeah, dude. All the NBA players commented him saying, like, I think Kevin Durant said, someone help this brother. I'm like, dude, he's trying to be an advocate for the sport, saying how difficult it is to win a world championship. And then there's all these people's like these commentators for basketball saying that like, oh, half the NBA people could probably run as fast as Noah Lyles. It's just, again, belittling like what Noah's achievement. Like, they're like, oh, this guy, he ran 21 seconds in high school. Like, he could definitely drop 2 or 3 seconds. He'd be faster than Noah Lyles. It's like, that's bullshit, mate. Like, that's the awareness that they have for track and field. They don't understand how difficult and hard it is to do what Noah did because he was a double gold medalist, 100 and 200. That's insane. Like, really hard to do. It's a bit sad.
It is kind of sad how it plays out like that, just because the NBA is so much bigger than anything track and field. Like anyone except for Usain Bolt. Maybe Shikari. Shikari is big, but she's still nothing. Like NBA big. So it's never
What
really
about
going to
Cropper?
work when you who.
The Indian javelin thrower. He's got the most Instagram followers. He's pretty big.
He is massive.
I'm
Very
sure
kind
he
of a
has a
select audience.
select audience, but he's massive.
No, he's actually sick. I do love him. But
Yeah.
it's just, you're just not going to win that when like all these NBA
No.
guys have to sit there. Like they don't even have to make a point because the reality is, yeah, I'm 100% on Noah Lyles' side. And it's so
Me too.
obvious that it is so weird that these American sports call it the world championships when it's just not the world. Like they call their winners the world champions when they're just not the world champions. But yeah, all the basketball players have to do is just like insult you and like they've already won because they just have like a million fans that are just gonna like love them and say like, yeah, you're stupid, bro. What are you thinking? So
Yeah.
that's
I
just,
still
that's
think
just
he
the
should have
way
used
it goes.
NFL. He should have used NFL as an example. The NBA
And then
one,
it would have landed.
yeah, that one just went down. Yeah, because they just did. They're not going to understand. They're too narrow minded, in my opinion. But it didn't. It's all over my social media. Noah's been just getting a lot of attention, and hopefully that helps people actually look into it and go, well, how hard is it for Noah Lyles? Like, how hard is it for that guy to win these medals? It's pretty fucking hard. So,
Well,
yeah,
they're gonna find out when they watch the Netflix documentary, I guess. So maybe
yeah,
it'll help out in the long run, get that exposure leading into that. It might be pretty good for him. But
yeah.
no,
It
that
could be a
was
good
so funny to
catalyst
see.
for it. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that's it for Wilds. In the episode notes I wrote down getting out of the airport crazy. That sounds like the most boring thing to talk about. I don't know why I wrote that down. Don't
Lit
even
Crazy
talk
movie.
about how busy the airport was. Actually, I was in line next to Paula Radcliffe. She was flying to her residence in Monaco, which sounds nice. I was not, but I think
Wait,
that's
when
it for
are we
Worlds.
getting
I
a
think.
residence in Monaco? When's Coffee Club going to have that residence in Monaco?
Actually, we probably should, just avoid all those
Yeah.
taxes. I don't know if that's how it
Yeah.
works, but we can look into that. I think that's kind of it. I think today will be a slightly shorter one because Morgan's going to go to bed soon. Got a big workout in the morning. I think we'll just shout out the Zurich Diamond League, which, yeah, we'll talk about it more, but very quick turnaround from Worlds, which you saw a lot of the performances reflected that. Jared was able to come out on top and get the dub in the 1500, it was just a lot of weird races. That's how I would like summarize the meet. A lot of weird races. Jared won in what was a Josh Kerr UK 1500-meter record attempt, but the pacing just wasn't quite on for him, and then he ended up having to lead quite a bit and do a lot of work. And I think so the guys were kind of chasing him down at the end, and it was just like a very weird race. They had a false start. They had protesters on the field. Mokatir didn't start on time. He was pointing at something off camera. Meyer had a kind of a tough race. Sage and Jonas also had tough races. I think it was just way too close to Worlds. The 5K was one of the weirdest 5Ks I've ever seen. It seemed like it was good weather. So I'm going to put an asterisk on that. I don't know for sure what the conditions were like, but it seemed actually pretty good 5K weather. But 7 people DNF'd in it, so only 9 people finished in the end. And Yomif just absolutely toasted the field. But probably the biggest storyline was the return of Grant Fisher. He did fucking amazing. He came third and ran, I don't know off the top of my head, but it must have been under 13, 12:50 something.
Yeah, 54.
Dude, that's like the best recovery ever from a stress reaction in your femur that I've ever seen.
Those Bauman guys know how to recover from injuries, man. I'm telling you that right now. I might have to call Jerry. He'll have no comment, but I'd love to know how they're getting back so quickly because I would like to get back quickly as well. But I'm not going to get back that quickly.
How's your burrito intake been, Ollie?
Pretty low. The burritos aren't very popular here in Australia. Mostly just chicken schnitzels and 3 beers. It's my most afternoons. Yeah. It's been pretty good though. I was watching the World Cup basketball on this big TV, and this massive bloke in a tradie high vis top, right? His belly's hanging out the bottom. He's got a beer and a cigarette. He's not supposed to be smoking in there, and he just yells out, "Change the fucking TV!" And then they changed the rugby league, and he sat down, he spread his legs wide, and had his beer and his cigarette, and he was just like, this is unreal.
Happy.
I'm having a great... He was happy. Yeah, I wasn't happy, but he was happy watching the Broncos and the Melbourne Storm Not the Denver Broncos, sorry, the Brisbane Broncos and the Melbourne Storm. And then he got kicked out because he was smoking. So, I mean, yeah, burrito intake's low, but, I can always call Jerry. I have his personal number. Don't ask me how I got it, but I'll give him a call and see how he's doing. And if he ever wants to come on the podcast, he's still got no comment, but he's an avid listener. He takes notes from this and mostly just
puts
gives
it into
them
his training.
puts it into his training, but he also uses it as good incentives for his Bowman athletes to get motivated. So that's what I've heard. So that's good.
One more Zurich. I do want to give a shout out to my boy Hamish Kerr in the high jump in Zurich. Huge New Zealand record, 2:33, second to Bashim after not making the final at Worlds, which he was absolutely gutted about, and the whole team was gutted for him. So to come back to Zurich and jump a New Zealand record was ridiculous. So nice work.
High jump was sick, and watching
really
Hamish crush it was very satisfying after that last week. So, yeah. Is there anything else for us to talk about before I go goo goo gaga?
I think
How did Lee Morgan?
I think you can go to sleep.
It was amazing, man.
We've ticked everything off.
How much pasta have you been eating?
It's amazing. Yeah, I didn't even say that I'm in Italy right now. I probably should have said that I'm at Sinta's place right now in Italy. And so much pasta.
So much pasta?
Yeah. I just like every meal, I'm like so full at the end, but it's so satisfying. The food here is just so tasty, and training here is actually pretty good. So maybe we'll have to come out here for a training camp or something. We'll stay at Sinta's place and have a good old time. It's pretty sweet here. So no complaints at all. I'm loving it. But I think that's it for today. I'll just give a shout out. Actually, we have a few teammates racing the next week. We have Josette in China racing the 15 in the Diamond League, as we mentioned. Sinter and Sage are racing a good 1500 in Padua on, I think, the 3rd, like Sunday, I believe. I don't even know what day it is anymore. And Sinter might be racing Rivalry as well. And then when is Brussels? No, that must be next week, right? Because I think Mario might be racing Brussels.
I think it's the 8th off the top of my head.
Okay, so maybe we'll have another episode before that. But yeah, still a bunch of cool racing happening. But yeah, just that time of the season where it's like just weird shit happens all the time. So it's a lot of fun. Still very entertaining. Still a lot of amazing results happening. So it's been great. But boys, it's been an absolute pleasure to be back with you today. Made it. We didn't even say the different times. We should have said. So Olli recorded this at 5:30 in the morning. George was 1:30 in the afternoon. I'm 9:30 at night. How is that? Look at us go.
I had it the easiest by far.
We're professionals. We're
Getting
professionals.
it done somehow. But yeah, thank you everyone for listening very much. This is episode 99.2. We'll see you all next week.